With the Buttkicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Buttkicker, the future is feeling.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to round number 5 of the Classic IndyCar Series presented by Buttkicker. My name is Conor Medic. I'm joined by the ever wonderful Lorenzo Bonda for this particular broadcast, and well, I am certainly raring and ready to go. Don't worry, we haven't got everything all started already. That was just a practice start that the drivers tend to do before proceedings here at the Classic IndyCar Series. But I'm super hyped for this one. We're here at Iowa for a full distance 250 lap event, Lorenzo.
Yeah, it's going to be a great event. One of the fastest tracks of the season, one of the fastest laps of the season, but also is a track that you need to manage tires and strategy. It needs to be on point. So those who know how to manage tires and know when to come into the pit lane might get an advantage on those who might need a really good result over here just on pace.
Yep, absolutely. Well, let's take a little bit of a look at the schedule heading in towards today because, well, we are getting towards the halfway point of the season. We've already had events at Homestead, Miami, Sebring, Interlagos, Laguna Seca, and indeed we'll have one at Iowa in just a couple of moments' time. Next time, though, we'll be heading to Nashville Speedway for our race slap bang in the middle of the season. So yet another oval event on the cards here. We started off with an oval event, but then we had the string of road course races before we're back here on the ovals. Let's have a look at how the championship looks heading into this one, though. It is Joshua Chin leading the championship by 164 points compared to Henry Bennett's 152. Ethan Hagen in third place with Cameron Dance in fourth. Jan Hoffman in fifth with Sebastian Ginza in sixth. Randy Shoemake is seventh with Jack Stiles, Andrew Aitken, and Stefan Schlacker, rounding out the top 10 in terms of championship coming into today. So a lot of work to do for those drivers towards the bottom end of the top 10. However, the top 2 looking relatively close. I'm looking forward to this head-to-head between Joshua Chin and Henry Bennett for the rest of the season.
I do. It's two drivers that are very experienced in the car. Joshua loves to drive this IR05, so of course had a little bit of a blunder start in Laguna Seca, but came back and dominated the rest of the race in Laguna Seca against everybody else, especially Henry Bennett was actually leading the race. But other than that, that middle part of the field where it's kind of like no man's lane. That's where it's interesting because we don't know who's going to come out on top on this race because there's so many variables. You can see race information there, Connery. Like, the thing that we need to be mindful the most is that fuel tank, because that fuel tank in the tires, if you know how to do it, you can go a long way in this track.
You absolutely can, and well, we'll talk more about this because it is 70 to 80 laps on the fuel window. However, the actual green flag stops, if we get them, potentially might depend on the tires instead. It's one of the highest tire degradation tracks on the calendar as far as an oval is concerned. So drivers might not actually be able to make the 70 to 80 laps if their tires are dead by the end of a stint.
No, absolutely not. They're going to be feeling really good grip about 5, 6, 7 laps, and then it's kind of like your management. You know, you really don't want to be stringing that left-hand side wheel way too aggressively and try to keep yourself in the line. The lines are going to change eventually. They're going to progress this season to the race itself. You might start in the low line, and you might have to I have to put to the high line, which is line number 2 and 3, so you can just manage the tires and try to get the longevity out of them, so you don't go, like, for example, 50 laps into the stint and then have to claw yourself back and not even, you might not be even be able to.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we've got a couple of drivers starting from the back of the starting grid due to penalties incurred. So Kevin Niatola, Dennis Garise, We've got Stefan Schlacker and Julian Alterna. They will have to start at the very back of the starting grid here today. So, you know, it's going to be quite a task for them to work their way through. We've got 24 cars connected up to the session at the moment. And, well, hopefully we'll have 24 cars for the vast majority of this event. Of course, we are brought to you, at least the season sponsor from the Buttkicker. Of course, we're secondary sponsor of Extreme Scoring as well. And, well, the title sponsor for this race. Thank you very much to MKT Manufacturing. This will be the MKT Manufacturing Indy 250. So, drivers getting towards the end of their little warm-up session before we get ourselves towards the starting grid here today at Iowa. And, well, we can indeed, in just a couple of moments, show you the starting grid for today's event. Let's have a look then, as we'll get that up on screen for you in just a handful of moments. There we go, we can get it there, as it is Jack Turner getting himself pole position here for this MKT Engineering Indy 250. Well, MKT Manufacturing Indy 250. Jack Turner, pole position with Ethan Agan on that front row as well. Mike Grandi and then Franz Josef Stum lining up on the 4th place. Row number 3 consists of Randy Shoemake and Robert Grosser. Take the next rows, Lorenzo.
Absolutely. So you got Harry Bennett from the Powersline Motorsports and Logan Simmons in P8 for Iconic. Joshua Chin just behind Harry Bennett, his rival in the championship. Rounding out the top 10 is JC Hay. Matt Wagner for the number 11 position. And top 12 is Jan Hoffman for Vortex Team Racing Connery.
Sebastian Kinder lines up in 13th with Jamie Wilson from Team Chimera in 14th place. Lucas Leville from Vortex in 15th place with his, well, Vortex teammate sharing the row there in P16, Marshall Stanley. We've got Cameron Dance from Orbit Motorsports, new entry, at least in terms of a team name change there for Orbit Motorsports. Of course, the same applies to Jack Stiles as well as Cameron Dance's teammate. Christian Jasper in P18 with Jonathan Diggs starting 19th, Robert Barnco in P20, Jack Stiles in P21 with Andrew Adair Saunders in P22. Jan Derricks there in P23 and Julian Altena starting in that final 24th spot. Of course, those latter drivers getting themselves not pit lane start, it is a start at the back of the grid due to penalties incurred over the course of the season. So drivers are still getting themselves lined up on pit lane here. Lorenzo, we're about to get ourselves our pace laps before we go racing here at Iowa for 250 laps. It's going to be a long event here today. And, well, if there's one circuit where there's going to be trouble, it might end up being this one. A very demanding circuit.
Yeah, very demanding circuits. Also running the IRL NTT Indycar series is also the next track in the NTT Indycar series with the Worldwide Tech Raceway, which is also going to be in the calendar for our triple headers of ovals as well in this classic IndyCar season. It's going to be an interesting race. I think first few laps they need to be very calm because that's where the attrition is going to be at its highest, and that's where we can see lots of incidents. And we know if the yellow flag comes out of here, it comes out again.
It does. We could indeed get a string of yellows here today. Always the danger on a track such as this. But hopefully, fingers crossed and touch wood, we can get ourselves a good couple of green flag laps under our belts before any such situation happens. Of course, it will be 2 pace laps here at the Iowa Speedway. It's classed as a short track here in iRacing, hence the extended pre-race festivities. But Jack Turner and Ethan Agan on that front row would rather get things going quicker than things currently are. But this one should be pretty exciting, especially with those tires being factored in. In fact, we can indeed bring up the weather here in just a moment and just to see what exactly conditions are like out there, because it can get very, very warm indeed here at Iowa. And let's have a look. Well, it's 45 degrees Celsius on the track surface already, and that's 113 Fahrenheit if you're so inclined.
Yeah, and it's not even peak hours yet, so that track is going to get eventually hotter and hotter during the stint. So we can expect some very interesting tire strategies, maybe at the end of the first half of the race, going to the second half.
Indeed, we could. Well, let's get this thing started then. It's going to be The MKT Manufacturing Indy 250 about to get the green flag here at Iowa. We're green. Jack Turner leads them down in towards turn number 1. We're underway. Lap number 1 in the books, and well, we've already had a change of position for the race lead as Jack Turner has fallen all the way back to P number 8. Mike Grandi is your new race leader, trying to fight it out with Ethan Egan as Randy Shoemake also, well, almost getting himself into the middle of a 3-wide situation there, back for 3rd place.
Yeah, and Joshua Chin just skipping a few places up above, going from 9th place to 6th place. Not too much for the for him, so expect Joshua Chin to claw up eventually, but again, because you have Julian Alten, I think right in front of this field as a back markers, can make things a little bit more difficult for those in the top 5.
Yeah, it could do indeed. Lap traffic already here in this situation. That is not ideal, and it's something the leaders would not have been expecting to deal with this early on in the event. And well, Altena, well, he's not in a rush to get out of the way here, is he? Just spinning himself towards that bottom line and swiping right up in front of the leaders. Almost took out Mike Grandi. Mike Grandi had to get out of it, and now Grosser has the run down the inside.
Well, that would have been close. I nearly called an accident over there, Connery, but there you go. Grosser into 1st place, but not by much. It's going to be, I think, by just a fraction of a hair.
Yeah, indeed it is. And, well, they're absolutely level for that race lead, at least at the start of the back straight. Altena definitely being the cork in the bottle here at the moment, causing the leaders all sorts of problems. They've all kept themselves together relatively well at this stage, but this is certainly something that the leaders did not need at this stage in the race. As well, Grosser's found an overlap underneath Altena. Maybe they can start shuffling him back through the field now, but yeah, this is you gotta have some heads-up driving in this situation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But the problem for Alten is if you want to slow down, how did you slow down with basically the entire field in front, right behind you? There is no good way. There is no safe way for you to do that. So you kind of have to put your pedal to the metal and have the leaders try to do the job of overtaking you. As you can see, also Harry Bennett just jumping up 1 spot, going to P2 as well. So the power slide driver, of course, not is in his casual green, dark green colors, try to do his best as Ethan Egan's trying to also claw up that spot on Altena.
Yeah, so Robert Grosser and Henry Bennett, they've been able to get through on that lap traffic, but Altena continuing to make life difficult for Ethan Egan. Mike Grandi is the car directly behind Altena on that high side for the moment, and well, it's going to take a good couple more laps for these drivers to start trickling their way through. Of course, Altena is not required to get himself out of the way. If he feels like he has the pace to run with the leaders, he will. But it's definitely not appreciated a lot of the time.
No, not at all. There's the people just sometimes go in official races saying blue flag for black markers. If there's one thing that is non-existent over here, is blue flag. So it's kind of like a gentleman's agreement, and Julian, of course, not be part of that gentleman's agreement one bit, because he knows if he loses too many laps over here, 1 lap is kind of okay for you to make that back, but 2 laps, oh, then you would be in a world of trouble as Henry Bennett goes into the lead.
Yeah, so Henry Bennett to the front of the field, Grosser 2nd place. I have to wonder, you know, what was the poor start from Jack Turner. He's down in P11 now, so for the man that started right at the very front, the early stages of this race have not gone at all well. He's continued to slide back, and well, that is unfortunate. I'm not spotting any damage to the Aero X car, as we have an incident somewhere on the circuit, or at least a close one.
In the backstretch. Yeah, in the backstretch, a 2-car incident, I think. Who might that be? Because he got some really bad damage. Cam Dance, okay.
Yeah, so Cameron Dance, let's see exactly what happens. I saw him dropping down the order. It didn't trigger a yellow, by the way. We're still under green flag conditions. But what happened to Cameron Dance? Oh, all sorts of loose, heavy impact with the wall. Everyone scattering behind. Herentals does a very good job in keeping that car in the fence so that he doesn't bounce back into traffic, but that is a race done for the Orbit Motorsports number 88 car. Not exactly what you would have wanted to, well, cap off the, or at least to start a new team in a new event as this.
Yeah, you stole the words right out of my mouth, Connery. Recent new team, of course, Orbit, with Jack Styles also being the other driver, and you really don't want to have one of your premier drivers just going off that early in the race. And but good avoidance, and that's just Iowa. That entry to the backstretch, if you go into the high line and merge into the top of the backstretch, it can be a little bit difficult for you to control your line.
Here comes Jamie Wilson around the outside of Randy Shoemake here. Of course, the multi-groove in full effect here at Iowa, getting towards that high line. You can hold it. And Jamie Wilson, well, continuing to prove that, has half a car leg down the back straight, but Shoemake's giving this one a good shot, not giving up without a fight whatsoever. He's got help from his teammate in behind him as well, Mike Grandi. So that's going to really work out in his favor. The Aero X teammates trying to potentially rattle the Primera cage at the moment, but they got all sorts of loose, and we have an incident on Jack Styles. Jack Styles is in it, the second Orbit Motorsports car. There's also, I think, JC Hay and Robert Burnko also got themselves involved in that as well, and that is our first yellow of the day.
Yeah, it's slightly not surprising. Well, let's take a look on the replay whenever that to see what happened between these three drivers. If it was the merging to the backstretch that got into the incident with Jack Styles, just one driver closely following another there. Connery going to number 4, entering through number 1. Was that a merger from Styles? Looks like it.
Potentially, it is the number 04 involved in this one, and well, let's see exactly what happened. I think we will just have to let this one run through here for the moment. It's Jonathan Diggs that's he was battling with just then. My cycle thing's just that little bit too far back, so we will let this one run through. But for Jack Styles, again, this is the second Orbit Motorsports car that has gone out of the event at such an early stage as well. Continuing to let this replay run through and see exactly what happened. Oh, he just drops it on his own. Drops it on his own back into traffic, and there's absolutely nothing that could be done there for JC Hay. He came up on that one like at a rate of knots. Let's see his view of it. Oh, excuse me, this is Robert Grosser.
Grosser, ow, that's the one thing you really want to see.
Sorry, our overlay's bugged out a little bit. There we go, it is JC Hay. So JC Hay having a big smash indeed. And, well, we'll get it back to the live pictures because we have had our pit stop phase happen. It was a rather long replay, I do apologize. However, we do have an interesting situation because everyone from P6 back came down in and got a fresh set of boots.
Not surprising at all. This is a track that demands of your tires, and seeing basically lap 23 where they would be in their tire life as the heat the tire goes on and the temperature goes up, eventually that would be on the halfway through their stint, or at least going to the 2/3 of your stint in the tire. So not surprised to see pit stops going up there early. I thought someone would be on the track, but you need that grip on the restart. Trust me. And sometimes we say that air is life, right? In these kind of short ovals, because this is not even a mile-long track. This is a 7-8 mile track. This is 0.875. So you need that air, and that air can facilitate so many things on an early run that depending how you manage the tires, that would be more like of an end race strategy than early race. So not surprised.
Indeed. So, I mean, if you're sort of mid-pack and back, there's really no harm in going for the call to come down in early. You have less to lose. However, for these leaders, it's a bit more of a tricky one. 5 drivers have decided to stay out, so those drivers have been on the same set of tires and the same amount well, the same fuel tank as they first started the race. Of course, everyone else, P6 and back, decided to come down in for a pit stop service. So, change of strategies already, or at least a split of strategies already, on lap number 24 of this 250 lap event. So the intrigue starts here, Lorenzo. let's see how good those fresh tires are once they have a 20-lap delta.
Yeah, if the thing is, because you might be on someone's back wing, the amount of dirty air is going to be generated going, especially in the transition from 1 to 2 and 3 to 4, can be so big up to the point that you might have to lift off the gas or try to not overdrive the car. Because if there's one thing I cannot remember, I think the IR05 doesn't have the weight checkers and also the anti-roll bars that you can figure like you can do in the IR18. So that's a little bit of a more of a foot and hand steering job than anything else for you to keep that car straight and also into a really good line so you can still be competitive.
Lights are out atop the pace car, so next time by we'll be going back green flag racing for the MKT Manufacturing Indy 250. We're glad you're here for it. This is our first yellow flag of the day. Hopefully they are kept to a minimum and we can get some good green flag racing in, as well as some good green flag stops, which will certainly add a lot to the strategy. And, well, everything will come to a head at the very end. Pace car down and in though. Henry Bennett leads them back to green here at Iowa. Bennett got a very, very good start there, Lorenzo. He's pulled half a second on Grosser already.
Yeah, but I think Grosser might be able to catch back in maybe the next lap or two. If not, Chin's eventually going to do the job of trying to catch into Henry Bennett, just like he did at Laguna Seca. Bennett is a really good restarter. He's a very solid restarter. We see that in the Lionheart. We see that in the official broadcast that we do for Indycars on Mondays. So not surprised to see the British having a really good start and trying to break away a little bit.
Is the battle for fourth place, which is absolutely crucial because this is where, well, a bunch of cars on fresh tyres are currently trying to get through a bunch of cars on older tyres. And, well, the highest placed new tyre car at the moment is Ethan Egan, trying to get up underneath Jan Hoffman, unsuccessful at the moment. This group is losing a little bit of time to those cars further down the road. So Jamie Wilson falling off the back of Joshua Chin here just a little bit, 0.8 of a second. And of course, you have the ever-present situation of indeed having the lap traffic get themselves involved here in this situation.
Yeah, and nothing you can do about it. Just have to be very patient and try to make your way through Julian Altena the fastest way and cleanest way as you possibly can. The thing is, Altena is not a very bad driver. He's a really solid driver on the oval, especially short ovals. So hadn't he had the penalty to start at the back of the grid, he probably would have been, I would say, right at this margin within the top 5, fighting for positions and maybe even fighting for the top 3 given the circumstances.
Altena on the high side for the moment. Of course, he is lap traffic, as we've already mentioned, so these drivers passing him isn't going to be for precision. It's more of a nuisance at the moment. Of course, Altena, you know, he is within his rights to try and fight for these positions. But the drivers will certainly understand that after the race, maybe not during. But lap 33 of this event now, and well, Logan Simmons getting himself up underneath, gets past that lap traffic. Next up, Jan Hoffman still attempting to get underneath Altena. He has the tyre advantage. Actually, he doesn't have any tyre advantage in this one. They're both on the tyres from the very start of the race, so it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Hoffman to try and get through on him than it was for Simmons.
Yeah, but I think because he's on that low line, doesn't have a lot of drag in front of him, might give him a little bit of an advantage on entry. He just needs to capitalize on the exit. That's what that is not been able to do, you know. If he's able to get that really good exit because of not having too much drag in front of him, he might get that exit and overtake Julian Altena. The thing is that top 3 is not helping him one bit.
Ethan Egan on a little bit of a charge, up to 4th place for the moment, and well, Logan Simmons down on the inside of Jamie Wilson. Wilson forced up the circuit a little bit, but all is fair in love and war, and Wilson will continue and try and fight on another day, trying to carry that momentum around the outside, but losing a little bit of ground here to Simmons, who seems to have the better performance at the moment. That would be understandable considering he was one of the cars that came down in to get some fresh boots as well. So Wilson is trying to fight a losing battle at the moment. You can see him steadily lose ground for the middle of these corners, and now he'll have to slot in behind. Meanwhile, Lucas Leville, well, he's trying to fight it out with Jan Hoffman, as now we also have the battle for the race lead. We've got many places to look at here, Lorenzo.
Yeah, that's the nature of Iowa. You know, you're always gonna have something at least on these restarts, and you can see Grosser on the inside. Ben is gonna try to cover the outside. Eventually, he's gonna get the better run using that middle number 2 to number 3 line on the exit. The thing is, if Grosser capitalizes the entry, gets about a half a car into the inside part, he can actually capitalize and go for the overtake and snatch that lead from Bennett.
Good, and well, Joshua Chin is also all over this one as well. So 3-car fight for the race lead, and well, fighting it out like this is just going to bring more and more third parties. We'll get their fingers stuck into this. And well, we've already got Ethan Hagen, who has caught up that gap that was around about 0.8 of a second to the leaders. So he's here on fresher tyres as well, and could be a huge disrupting factor in this battle for the race lead in the early portions of this race.
Not just him, but look at Logan Simmons, not far behind. He's following Ethan Hagen the best way he can, so we can have a 5-car scrap for the lead over here in top 3 positions. And we are barely like one quarter of the race in.
And no lap traffic this time to get in the way. So I think that's what they're going to be the most happy about. So they can make this a fight just amongst themselves, rather than having to try and negotiate with a car a lap down. Henry Bennett, though, side by side with Ethan Hagen.
Did I see him go sideways? Yeah. I think I saw Julian Altena go sideways, maybe?
Altena just finds new ways to impact this race, doesn't he? There we go.
Poor individual.
The Velocity Online Racing car, number 31, causing the second yellow of the day, and we'll get to see how it happens. Oh, it's off of 2 again. Off of 2 again. Same sort of place as where Jack Stiles had his issue, I believe. Car just broke away. So tricky around that.
Yeah, especially with the inability of you having in-car tools, you know, and try to get a really good line out of them. So we're gonna see obviously a very busy pit lane coming in, and pit lane over here makes a really good difference, especially in the final laps. Maybe the last pit stop is what is gonna make the difference. Who comes out on first, and who's gonna be maybe putting full fuel or even 3/4 of a fuel, so you can actually try to work on maybe a possible yellow flight down the line, and maybe your strategy goes the way you plan. Jen is out already.
Yeah, so we had most of everyone get themselves down and in. That was Joshua Chin, I believe, coming out first of the pitters. So he'll inherit 3rd place coming back onto circuit. But we did have 2 drivers that stayed out, and they've been out there. Well, they were 2 drivers that came down in our last yellow. So Randy Shoemaker, Jonathan Diggs decided to stay out there. Everyone else came down and in.
Yeah, which is interesting to see that the Shoemaker and Diggs, well, not fully surprising given that they were in the back of the field, you know, staying for this pit cycle away from it, and now being P1 and P2. But Joshua Chin's work on the pit lane, we often joke, me and Arjuna often joke about Team Chimera private label Team Hype blunders into the pit lane. Good to see that Joshua managed to find his pit lane and being very efficient in it.
Yeah, I guess he flipped the script a little bit there. But
yeah, absolutely.
Guess who's in the leading pack again?
Altena?
Yeah, so this one's going to be interesting because he stayed out, and he's the only driver that has stayed out both times in the 2 yellows that we've had. So he's still on tyres that's where he started this race on. So might be a predicament for the drivers behind to deal with, as that's, the difference in terms of the time delta on the tyres is just going to get worse and worse the longer he stays out. And, well, hopefully he doesn't get a whole bunch of wheel spin on this restart.
Yeah, let's hope not, because like again I said, Alten a really good driver. I think he could be slightly quicker than Shoemaker and Diggs. But the thing is, because he had that spin on the back stretch, I think his tires are slightly shot. But you never know. I've been proven wrong so many times, especially in Indy cars, that like I say one thing and it's completely the opposite thing as we go green flag in the next lap.
Indeed. Well, the featured driver for this event was meant to be Gary Godso. I don't think he is connected up to the server, so therefore we have Robert Grosser is our featured driver of the day. There he is, 4th place, doing relatively well. 2nd place of those drivers that pitted last time around. So Grosser still very much in contention, and our featured driver for this event. Pace car lights are out.
Now, really interested to see how Shoemaker and Diggs are going to try to defend their positions against a very, very aggressive Joshua Chin on this restart. If there's one thing that Joshua is known for, especially in the IndyCar community, he's not one to waste his time behind people. If he finds a gap, he's going to try to make that overtake on a race. So expect him just out of the gates being very, very much of a bully on these 2 drivers ahead of him.
I would expect nothing less from the driver from Team Chimera. Let's get the... he is the king of chins, after all. Always looking to make a statement. Pace car pulling down on towards pit lane. Field under the control of Randy Shoemaker already. The swap has happened between Jonathan Diggs and Joshua Chin. So Diggs getting himself well out of the way, not wanting to interfere with this one. It allows Chin to give chase to Randy Shoemaker as we go back to green.
I would say smart move from Diggs, you know, just, you know, you have a driver that has better tires than you on the restart. He has better pace. He's slightly aggressive, of course. Henry Bennett's not far behind. Grosser's not far behind. So I think Diggs is not going to be overly aggressive against them as well. So maybe P4 and P5 might bump up 1 spot. But here's Joshua Chin, like I told you, right on the back nose of Randy Shoemaker.
Here he is, and well, using that tyre performance that he has, the first couple of laps are absolutely rapid here on the new tyres, and there we go. Joshua Chin down the inside. Not fought too much for Randy Shoemaker, but I don't think really there was much that he could do in that situation. Diggs has already fallen back through the order into 4th place. Robert Grosser finding the inside on him. And, well, Grosser through quite easily. Next up is Henry Bennett to try and get past the 0-4.
Yeah, and you can see Diggs going slightly wide and Bennett making usage of the better grip. So the in line, going to in line number 1, already makes the overtake. So Henry Bennett from Powerslide into P4. And now Grosser and Bennett now far behind Randy Shoemaker's ball.
Absolutely. Lap 53 of 250. Randy Shoemaker, Robert Grosser, side by side down in towards turn number 1. Grosser holds it on the inside. Very early stages though. You don't want to fight tooth and nail for, well, don't want to particularly fight tooth and nail for these positions. Of course, you want to give it a good go. However, the risky moves should be kept at a minimum. We're not even in the final half of the race.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're not even going to lap 75, which would end our first quarter of the race, you know. So interesting to see how these drivers are managing their cars, you know, in comparison to, let's just say, what Joshua Chin is going to try to do. Try to break himself away as best as he can from Henry Bennett, but you can see Grosser's not far behind, Bennett not far behind. So now that's where the confusion can start a little bit now in this midway pack.
2x2 racing. inside the just inside the top 5 here. We got Logan Simmons, Lucas Leville, Jonathan Diggs, Ethan Agan, all trying to figure out their situation back here as the leaders try and run away from them. It seems like Julian Altena, who was sort of restarted in this leading pack, he seems to have dropped all the way down the order, so it seems to definitely not be on the pace of the leaders anymore, especially on those old tyres that he had. But this is a good opportunity for Chin to try and run away at the moment. Grosser is keeping with him, to be fair, but we'll have to see how this one develops, and if this indeed develops into an extended green flag run. There's Lucas Leville down the inside of Logan Simmons. Simmons trying to hold on to this one. It's actual, well, they're equal in terms of the strategy here. And well, Lucas Leville, Randy Shoemake might have their own little disagreement here to settle as well in this battle.
Oh yeah, the thing is, I think for
Shoemake,
Shoemake,
someone's off.
Oh,
Henry Bennett.
Is that Bennett?
Henry Bennett off down the back straight. Takes the toe back to pit lane. We will remain green here at Iowa, but Henry Bennett out on lap number 61.
And that looked like a contact into the entry of turn number 3. Did something happen? Did they have a contact that Barry got a very prejudiced? Oh no.
Loose off of turn 2 again. How many times have we seen it already in the 60 laps that we've already run? I don't think there was, of course, you know, there's the aero effect of this, of that Vortex car coming off the bottom, but you can even do that in clear air, so I don't think that's necessarily a big factor. Another spin off of turn 2 for another driver, this time with bigger ramifications.
Yeah, in this championship, absolutely. You get P2 in the championship already off this race, and look at the gap that Joshua Chin has to Robert Grosser. Grosser did his best, you know, he wasn't to blame right there. He merged into the line, of course. That would have been closer between both him and Henry Bennett, but of course, cut him a little bit of a clean air going to the exit on turn number 2, but you said it. You said it best. I don't think that influenced one bit the incident that Bennett had into the wall.
Yeah, and you can see some of these cars just getting themselves a little bit twitchy coming off of turn 2. That seems to be the primary trouble spot here today, and we still got a lot of laps to run. Let me tell you that. But Ethan Agan, Logan Simmons pulling off the swap, and Agan up into 4th place. Jamie Wilson finds a line up underneath, but it's all about the execution in these sorts of moves. And, well, I think you said it best towards the very start of the broadcast as well, here, Lorenzo. These Iowa races in these Indy cars tend to be more pack racing than they are single file racing.
Yeah, they eventually break off whenever you have lesser grids, you know, or lesser cars in the field. But nevertheless, if you have a really competitive environment where you have guys like Joshua Chin, Henry Bennett, Robert Grosser, put Altena in the middle, let's just bring in other cars into the front like Adam Blocker or more cars from the IndyCar community that know how to run these tracks, these short ovals. You can have up to 12 people fighting for top 10 or for even more than 12 people, just because the adjustments into the in-car in the IR18 make that competitiveness work. So you might have to strategize something different because it is on the IR05 gearing and wheel matters, pedal matters. So this is why I like the aspect of the classic cars more than the current generation of cars we have in the Indy cars and the roar S-Ball. I prefer this roar than the IR18. Bring back these roars into Indy cars.
I think that would be a very popular opinion, at least with the participants of this series. Jan Hoffman trying to get up underneath Logan Simmons here. Let's see if he's successful, because he's trying to get through on this train. Because this little grouping has about 1.8 seconds behind Robert Grosser and by extension Joshua Chin. So they are falling off the top 2 spots. They just need to find a configuration that works perhaps to try and eat into that gap a little more.
Yeah, but I think it's gonna be something like that. You know, falling to single strings of one file into maybe line number 1 into the entry, then you merge into line number 2, and then eventually number 3. They're going to be following that into a single file
Yellow
for a few laps. But there we go, yellow flag at the exit at the end of the first part.
One of our
Wagner.
independent drivers, the number 11 of Matt Wagner, brings out another yellow here at Iowa. We're yet to get a full green flag run. Let's see what happened to Matt. Does turn 2 strike again?
Another victim, yeah.
Yeah, he loses it through turn 2. It's not the same as other instances that we've seen, though, because he seemed to have lost it way before that little transition onto the back straight.
Yeah, I really want to see from his cockpit view if there's too much input on his wheel. No, not too much input on the wheel. Maybe pedals and or the track effect of, you know, just not giving you grip on the exit might have been enough for Matt Wagner, which is a really good oval driver that we see in the Lionheart Indycar series and the Speedway series go out just like that as we get another pit party.
Yep, everyone coming down in.
Chen is already out.
Yeah, indeed he is. And here he comes. Leads the fight off of pit lane. Robert Grosser second in that one. Lucas Laville, Egan, Hoffman, and then Wilson down in P6. It was a pretty short stop from Ethan Egan. Shortest of the entire cycle of cars that time around. And Joshua Chin, well, maintaining the race lead on lap number 75.
So what we're seeing here, Connery, I think is a trend of, you know, the tire life, especially with the conditions that we have. I think it might have increased from 45 degrees on track. I estimate this, yeah, I estimate it to be right around 50 degrees, but it's slightly colder, but still very hot around the track. I estimated it to be around 25 laps where the car would start to really get loose, you know, where you'd be struggling for grip, or you might have to change your driving technique around the corners, especially into number 2 where you get that really bumpy groove on the high line of the track, because it is progressive. It is 12 to 14 degrees progressive on Iowa on the turns. So I expect it to be around 25 laps, and that's what you're basically seeing, you know, 20 laps or 22 laps, then we get a yellow flag, and then we go into green flag, another 20 laps, and we get a green flag. I don't know, this might be one of those races, I pray that I'm wrong, that we're going to be seeing very short life stints on the tires.
Yeah, that does seem to be the theme at the moment, though, and I think your prediction might end up becoming true. Almost 50 degrees Celsius on the circuit at the moment. Converted, that's 120 Fahrenheit. That is toasty indeed, and no wonder the drivers are having problems with grip at the rear end LR2 when the track is that hot and that slick.
Again, and is that Altena up in the front again?
Who else could it be? Who else could it be? Indeed it is.
But I think on this one he might be able to get the he might get lucky, because he might get the wave around on the next lap, so he's going to be able to get back on his lead lap. If I think he is on the lead lap, of course, that might benefit Altena, and that's the thing he's been looking for since the start of the race. Took long enough, but he got there.
If at first you don't succeed, try again. That's what Altena has done. And, well, got himself back on the lead lap in front of the leader. Pace car lights will go out. Altena will be released and will be able to rejoin the very back of this field. So back on the leading lap for Altena. Joshua Chin, well, he will be the driver in control of this restart. Robert Grosser, Lucas Laville, Ethan Egan all giving chase. And, well, there's not really a tyre strategy difference to talk about here. They all came down in on that last yellow flag. So everything has been cancelled out, equalled out, however you want to phrase it.
Yeah, and I expect Chin to pull off once that car goes into the line of the the pit lane entry. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's very early for the Team Chimera driver.
See what the exact timing is. We're about to get back underway onto lap number 79 of this round number 5 of the Indycar, Classic Indycar Series powered by the Buttkicker. Joshua Chin off on the way down in towards turn number 1. Grosser giving a chase, and well, it was a clean restart from pretty much everyone at the very front of the field. A bit of a stack up behind Jan Hoffman though for P5 as Jamie Wilson looks to try and progress.
Yeah, and Jamie has been kind of stuck within that P5 the entirety of the race. He managed to get within that top 5 once, then got back a little bit, relegated to P6, P7, but been fighting constantly for that spot with the top 5 Joshua Chin's teammate. Let's see what he's going to be able to do in this restart number 3.
And given the string of cautions every 20 laps or so, it might be worth reminding everyone there is a 2-hour time limit on the race here. So if you do get too many cautions, then the race will go to time and we'll reduce the race distance to be able to get it done in that time. So that's the situation there. We're still relatively far off of that, so I don't think we necessarily have to worry about that just yet. But another couple of cautions, then we might have to start thinking about getting this race to go to time. But we'll keep you updated with that, just in case it actually does happen. But for now, we are on track to get the full race distance. And, well, we got Mike Grandy and Jonathan Diggs fighting it out for P number 9. Grandy sliding his way through, sometimes, perhaps literally, given how hard it is.
Yeah, good to see a really clean battle between Granny and Diggs right there. Of course, he has Randy Shoemake, his teammate, right in front of him. So let's see if we're going to get a teammate on teammate battle for the Aero X team. 2 drivers that for Randy Shoemake, I think he has been a godsend this race. His strategy, right? You know, that being on the old tire strategy prior to the yellow flag, try to keep himself within the top 10, and then get the yellow flag and be kind of like reset up with everybody on the grid. Has been really good for him, of course. Broken up a little bit, and near contact on the wall for Mike Rennie over there.
Things getting relatively close between Grosser and Leville for P number 2 out there on circuit, and well, Grosser hasn't really had to do all that much defending, at least on that previous stint, given he was the one trying to give chase to Joshua Chin, and well, the gap developed between himself and the drivers further behind. But now, Lucas Leville in the number 1 car, looking to give him a little bit of trouble perhaps in the early stages of this race. The Vortex Sim Racing car pretty strong at this stage. Well, to gap back to Ethan Hagen, as Hagen's more concerned about Hoffman at the moment. Drivers picking themselves out into pairs. But what's the strategy from this point forward from Leville here? Just keep himself in that leading pack? Is there much benefit in actually leading this little train at the moment? Especially given the fuel mileage, but then again, we're not fuel limited really.
Yeah, I think we're not going to be fuel limited in this race. For Joshua Chin, the amount of air he's getting is really good for him. And good to see that everybody's keeping contact to one another. But the thing is, let's just go to lap 95, 96, where we might starting to see some of the struggles of the drivers try to keep within that one line. We might start to see a high line or a minute to turn number 1, so you can minimize the tire wear going into the turns and try to be more safe. But other than that, it's pretty much okay. Follow the train.
Yeah, there would have been a slight element of track evolution as well, but we have lost a decent chunk of cars that would have contributed to that. So we've lost Matt Wagner, we've lost Anderix, we've lost Henry Bennett early on as well. That's going to be super important as far as championship is concerned. Casey Hay, Robert Bunko, Jack Stiles, Cameron Dance, Andrew Saunders,
one third
Stanley,
grid,
all out.
basically.
Yeah. So we have a decent chunk of competitors out of this one, and well, we'll have to see how that affects the championship picture, because yeah, Henry Bennett, well, he's losing a torrent of points to Joshua Chin at the moment. Cameron Dance, who was 4th place in the championship, is also out of this event as well. So Yeah, this race has certainly shaken things up with regards to the points order.
Oh yeah, and I think the thing is, and I just look at the schedule. You know, triple header at tracks that are not easy in this car. Then you go right next to Nashville. Nashville is a track that mixes a little bit of concrete, has some more aggressive banking than Iowa, of course, but it's much more difficult for you to overtake. So if you're in the lead of the race, if you're in that car that leads the train, you're basically safe for the entirety of the race unless something happens, you fumble and you give the opening to someone else. And then you go into Worldwide Tech Raceway as we see Jonathan Diggs try to defend the position against this Stum. So might be able to get the position from Diggs. Doesn't look like it, but other than that, 3 very difficult ovals to do this triple header.
Indeed it is, and of course you have the oval specialists, the road specialists. You know, things will swing back and forth over the course of the season, which makes these, well, any IndyCar series so exciting. It's just the variety of circuits and you know, how the championship can swing as we go from circuit to circuit, and well, from circuit type to circuit type as well. But we just saw Jonathan Diggs get himself inside the top 10 there. And Joseph Stum not able to maintain that position. And, well, field strung out a little bit, at least in the midfield. The leading pack are keeping themselves together relatively well. Just further back, things are getting strung out sort of in in a big separated single file line for the moment. But look at how much pressure Lucas Laville is piling onto the back of Grosser at the moment. He's not giving him too many inches to breathe.
No, he's not. But looking over here, I think the one thing you really don't want to be doing for Laville is try to put pressure within one of your teammates, right? Both cars are from Vortex, so Connor, remind me, what's rule number 1 of sim racing?
Don't hit your teammate.
Yeah, and what is number 2?
Give me £1 million or $1 million.
No, that would be rule number 3. Number 2 is don't do what number 1 is.
Yeah. And well, Lucas Laville is in the number 1 car.
Oh yeah, you're really solid trying to follow that close to the back wing.
Yeah.
This is something that like personally I don't like doing. You know, following that close, like 1/10 of a second of your teammate on the back stretch. And all, of course, you're doing different lines to try to break up the toe and not getting to bad spots. But other than that, I feel slightly uncomfortable because it is my driving style. But other than that, he's doing an amazing job right now.
It is. Well, he's deliberately putting himself in a position where he gets a lot of aero wash, which can cause a bit of a problem. But we are getting, well, we've got 28 laps on this thinner tyres at the moment, so you would have thought this is where things start to get a little bit sketchy with the grip out there. So we'll just have to keep an eye out to see if anyone's having any sort of trouble. Usually it's coming out of turn 2, this portion of the circuit. So you just got to tiptoe your way through there a little bit. You just have to make sure that you don't have too much steering input coming off of that corner. Otherwise, you're going to go spin me baby right round, right round.
Yeah, the one thing that this car doesn't like me too much is the technique of sewing the wheel. You know, you really don't want to sew the wheel. You really want to be as straight up as possible and as smooth as possible with the IR05. If you give too much input or you try to counter steer into a turn just because you really want to try to keep yourself within a toe or something like that, the car is going to respond. And as we see Jan Hoffman going to P4, Ethan Hagen losing one more spot, and Jan Hoffman really doing a really solid job at this mid portion of the stint. Vortex P2, 3, and 4, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So Vortex doing a very good job indeed in this event, collecting, well, at least with their complement of members. It isn't the Vortex car that leads, though. It is the Team Chimera machine, the king of chins himself, Joshua Chin, in the number 93. That's pulled over half a second gap back to Robert Grosser now. So Chin certainly trying to stretch his legs at this stage as we get towards the halfway point of 250 laps. One of the longer green flag runs that we've had here, 34 laps, at least since when they came in.
The longest.
Yeah.
Good to see. Let's keep it that way. But then again, I'm in this broadcast, so the likelihood of this happening is very low.
Yeah, you are a little bit cursed, Lorenzo, when it comes to being on races and then having them be caution fests. But I don't want to bait one at the moment. We are getting to the point in the stint where the tyres are having, are starting to show their age a little bit more. So I'm just going to leave it at that, Lorenzo. I'm just going to leave it at that and say nothing more.
Yeah.
But at least in its current state, everyone's just finding their own space for the moment. This is sort of mid-race syndrome. It's everyone just sort of knows what their task is, knows what their strategy is, and just wants to get to those green flag stops if we get them. And of course, we've lost a good deal of cars as well here, so it's not as busy out there on the circuit. So there's less potential for any issues.
Yeah, and if we do, he's probably going to be coming into the pit stop where the tires are going to be screening for grip, and we see Randy Shoemaker and Jonathan Diggs fighting for position. Randy trying to get a really good line, launching himself into turn number 3, then follow through into number 4, but Diggs named by that high line, doing a really good, solid job maintaining position for the current moment. But yeah, I think one of the things we haven't mentioned is that because you have the track conditions, no major progression still at 48 degrees, but we have ambient increasing to 27 degrees here, Connery. We might get into the low 50s. I would estimate 52 in about, I would say, 20-30 minute time.
Yeah, and well, let's see how the drivers deal with that. We are currently at 6 minutes past
50.
1. There we go. We saw it on the live pictures. It ticked up to 50 degrees, everyone. 50 degrees, 122 Fahrenheit. That is quite balmy out there, shall we say. Tyres definitely going to struggle with track temperatures that high. So it's sort of a little bit of an unknown about exactly which lap these drivers will decide to come down in as a result. Because yes, fuel goes, you know, it can go the distance. Fuel can go much further than the tyres can at the situation. With fuel 70 to 80 laps. However, car around on circuit, no caution. Jonathan Diggs. Jonathan Diggs having a huge problem out there.
And from the looks of it, looks like another victim of turn number 2. Let's look on the replay here, Connery.
He was in the battle with Shoemaker. Shoemaker driving it hard in towards turn number 1. Trying to lock onto the back, and no! Yep. It was going off at turn 2. We didn't get a fantastic view of it, so let's wind things back just that little bit more and get ourselves a better perspective of this one for the number 04. It didn't trigger a caution since it wasn't on the racing surface, and he spun all the way down to the inside there. Impact with the wall, and that is Jonathan Diggs taking the tow back to pit lane and out of this event. We're still green with 119 under our belt.
Yeah, which is good to see. Let's keep it green like that. But then
another one.
Shoemaker now.
No, that is Mike Grandi, number 12. We stay green. And I think I'm going to get a bit of deja vu here, Lorenzo. There it is.
Yeah, but the difference is Diggs was on the low line, and right now you're more propense for you to have incidents at the low line if you just try to fight yourself against someone. For Granny was a little bit, I think, of unlucky factor. Groove plus tires plus wheel plus pedals, all the combination just made him go into the wall, like all the other drivers that we've seen before.
Indeed. So as we are a couple of laps away from our halfway point here, Robert Grooster trying to hold on to P2 from Lucas Leville, from Jan Hoffman. Of course, Vortex members involved in this one, so I don't think they'll be too aggressive with each other, shall we say. But when push comes to shove, Drivers' Championship, you know, team allegiances get thrown out the window somewhat, and well, they have the overarching task of trying to do something about that Kamara 93, who currently leads this race by 0.8 of a second.
Yeah, in my opinion, if that gap goes into about 1.2 seconds, then you can start. If you're Grosser, Leville, and Hoffman, you have to be a little bit concerned, because there's one thing that Joshua Chin does really well once he breaks away from the toe is keep that gap constant. He's gonna maybe increase a little bit more. He knows how to navigate through traffic, and there's his traffic even in front of him. Not too far, I would say about a second of him right now. So for now, do your best to keep yourself close, because right now you're starting to get within the danger zone of not catching him within the green flag.
Well, we are at we're at the halfway stage of this event now, so it only seems right to give a very big thanks to the companies that make this classic IndyCar series happen. We, of course, title sponsor is the Buttkicker. We saw their ad at the very start of the broadcast. Absolutely fantastic company indeed. But this race is, title sponsored by MKT Manufacturing. It's the MKT Manufacturing Indy 250 here on RaceSpotTV. MKT Manufacturing Inc. is a manufacturer of premier foundation equipment and was founded to meet the pile driving and drilling equipment needs of our customers who build the foundation of our nation's future. As partners with our customers, we strive to deliver on-time, high-quality, top-performing and cost-effective equipment for them to do their job well. For more, visit www.mktpalman.com. That's mktpalman.com. So thank you very much to MKT Manufacturing for sponsoring this event. We got a couple more things to say here at this halfway stage as well. We've got the Classic IndyCar Series Patreon. And it just gives you another little way to support what we do here at the Classic IndyCar Series. And you can get your name on the broadcast here if you, at the appropriate tiers. We've got donors there, we've got gold members, and of course we have platinum donations as well. So absolutely fantastic stuff indeed. Our secondary sponsor here for the Classic IndyCar Series is Extreme Scoring. It's their new timing and scoring platform. And, there's a special offer here, or a special situation here for the Classic IndyCar Series is offering the following to the audience. Every viewer can buy a ticket by sending $5 via PayPal, friends, to classicIndycarSeries@gmail.com. At the end of the season, there will be a blind draw, and the winning ticket will receive a 12-race season package of Extreme Scoring for free, which has a resale value of $60. So that's certainly something that you'd want to get yourself involved into. You can send $5 over PayPal to classicIndycarSeries@gmail.com. And you will be entered into that draw. So fantastic stuff indeed. Do take part in that one, and we can get and you can potentially get yourself the 12-race season of Extreme Scoring. Of course, the Classic IndyCar and our series. That's the giveaway there. $5 for a chance to win a 12-race package from Extreme Scoring. So there we go. Halfway stage underneath our belts now. Joshua Chin still leads this one, 1.1 seconds over the rest of the field. Robert Grosser, second place with Lucas Laville in third. Jan Hoffman, fourth with Jamie Wilson, fifth. Ethan Egan in sixth place with Logan Simmons and Randy Shoemake in seventh and eighth. We've got Jan Josef Stum in P9, Sebastian Kinder P10, Crispian Jasper in P11, and Julian Altena one lap down, or rather 2 laps down, excuse me, in 12th place. Jack Turner is the final car still running. He's in 13th place. Everyone else below 13, well, they are out of the event. So Mike Grandy, Jonathan Diggs, Matt Wagner, we've got Jan Durix, Henry Bennett, JC Hay, Rob Burnco, Jack Stiles, Cameron Dance, Andrew Saunders, and Marshall Stanley, all of them out of the event. So we never like to see rates of attrition like this one, Lorenzo, but we do have only 13 cars of our 24 starters still in the race at halfway.
Yeah, half the grid still remaining in this race. It's kind of like, it's not good as up to the point that we had lots of attritions, but then again, we have to remind ourselves, one, this track is really difficult with a car like this. Highly unstable. You need to be on point with your racing line, as we're going to see our first green flag pit stop as Robert Grosser goes into the service line. And I was going to mention this, the service line can be very difficult if you're going for a really late dive and try to break yourself cleanly and going to follow that service line into the pit lane. It's just going to get worse because, in my opinion, Nashville can be a
We might have just lost Lorenzo there, so we'll just have to bear with us. But
okay, I'm back. I'm
yeah,
back.
you are back. But Robert Grosser coming down in.
back.
Yep, this is the first green flag stops, as you were saying, Lorenzo. So, well, Grosser in all on his lonesome at the moment, trying to get himself maybe a little bit of a better undercut on the rest of the field.
Yeah, I think for in terms of strategies that you need to, I think that might be the only strategy you might have available in comparison to what Joshua Chin is doing. And I told you, give Joshua Chin 1.2 seconds. That's where the toe kind of breaks away from being able to get some drag in the backstretch and front stretch, and he's gonna blast himself away. And that's what he's doing. And Grosser just in front of Laville and also Huffman.
Yeah, it's so important that he just got himself out ahead of those guys. It was side by side coming off of pit road, but you know, he wasn't delayed too much by those cars. So now he can use those fresher tires to his best advantage in clear air, getting these laps logged. So how's the response from everyone else though? Ahead, further down the road, we do have Joshua Chen dealing with a little bit of lap traffic. When does he decide to come in? Because it was about lap, what lap was it? It was about 68-ish on the stint. That's the driver of Robert Grosser decided to come down in. So that's if we're classing that as early, then where is going to be the rest of the rest of the drivers going to come down in? Because they're getting to lap 72 on their stints right now.
Yeah, I think what Laville and Huffman might try to do is stretch it out maybe to 73, 74 laps tops and come into the pit lane, because they've been, you know, saving fuel one behind another and using Grosser as kind of like of a bunny of sort for you to keep yourself into the dough. Joshua Chin, though, is the guy that he's out in front. Normally, he would be the first to come into the pit lane naturally because he's in front. But if there's one thing I learned with Joshua throughout the years, his fuel management is unique.
I guess that's one way to put it. So we'll see what the situation is. Maybe these guys, having to push out these stints due to the fuel, but potential. But, you know, this is the spice of life. This is the spice that makes races like this so intriguing. As you can see, Grosser trying to get himself back onto the leading lap here. You can just see how much those fresher tires are helping him out. The number 6, like I said, back on the leading lap. So if a yellow comes out now, it's not the end of the world for Robert Grosser. It just puts him in a bit of a interesting spot, especially with the timing coming down on towards pit lane. But then, of course, if he does decide to stay out, he'll be on older tires, and then the flip side will start to happen with regards to him falling back to the field. So that's all that we can conjecture for the moment here, Lorenzo. Lucas Laville and Jan Hoffman still close, and well, we've got it's not Julian Alterna. It's another little bit of lap traffic though that they're having to get through on them, which is a little bit more
Sebastian
compliant.
Kinder, I think.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, but it looks like Kinder, the first guy that is outside of the lead lap, so being number 9. So basically, we're starting to see Joshua Chin lapping the guys within the 10. The next one is 2, and eventually will be Randy Shoemake. He's going to be able to reach, maybe if he keeps going like this, within 5 or 6 laps. But we've said before, he has to pit stop. So eventually, if he doesn't do that now, it's going to be down the line for the Team Chimera driver. I wonder where is Grosser though.
Grosser, well, he's continuing to try and put these laps down. He's got 18.782 last time by. That was a good 0.2 of a second faster than what Joshua Chin was able to put onto the board. So he's continuing to eat into these guys' advantage. So this will be a big undercut for And for Grosser, whether or not it's the right strategy, especially with cars around, that's Jamie Wilson having a problem off circuit, so therefore we stay green. For the 87 Chimera car around, looks like some front wing damage as well.
And slightly bent on the left-hand side, looks like it, doesn't it?
Let's go and have a look. Oh, was this coming off of pit lane, I wonder? Hang on, let's wind it back a little bit further. No, it wasn't coming off of pit lane, however, he did get pretty low.
I think he touched the apron.
Oh, he did!
Yeah.
He did! The cardinal sin. And there was only going to be one result of that one. An embarrassing spin towards the inside. Let's see it from the T-cam view. See that yellow line on the left-hand side, dips them two tires below it, and the car gets all sorts of upset, and it adds insult to injury. He noses it into the wall.
He's very lucky for that very light nose contact. Very lucky.
Of course, you can change front wings. You can't change any more significant damage on these cars. So, yeah, Jamie Wilson getting away with one there. Can hop, skip, jump back in towards pit lane. But meanwhile, speaking of the pit lane, we've got, a couple more visitors. Lucas Laville coming down and in. Joshua Chin also was down and in. He's back out there on circuit. Laville with the response here. We've got Sianstro System also coming down in at this stage. So about 85-ish laps on the stint. They're deciding to come down in now and get their green flag stops underway. Christian Jasper staying out just momentarily before he decides to head his way on towards the safety of pit lane as well. Robert Grosser, well, he's going to come out as your race leader potentially here, and indeed he will filter through to the race lead. How much of a gap will we have back to Joshua Chin, though? Looks like it's about 6 seconds is the advantage in hand. However, there's a 21 lap difference, or not 21 lap difference, excuse me, a 19 lap difference on their strategies between Grosser and Chin.
That's a lifetime. Chin is going to make that up, I would say, with half distance to that. So expect that 6 seconds to be about half a second. Well, traffic pending, traffic pegging and everything for Joshua Chin to put pressure on the race leader or the net race leader for now.
Yeah, indeed, and you can see sort of the reason why drivers deciding to try and push out these stints as much as possible. We got 87 laps to go.
By the way, did Joshua just had a little bit of a moment going to turn number 2?
Potentially. I just had my way. Yeah, I just had my eyes away from it just for a moment.
I think on the previous lap, he just had a very wobbly moment, and I think with the car, and that was a slight glance into the feed, but I could be very wrong.
So yeah, 85 to go. We're expecting even those drivers that came down in, they'll still have to stop again. 70 to 80 laps to fuel stint, yeah. So
everybody's going to come with about 20 laps to go, I think.
Or 20 lap sprint to the end.
Yeah, I was gonna actually ask you, if you pit right now, I think for Hoffman you might have to go all the way, or even go ahead 3/4 of the way, because you put yourself in a situation that you do have a very big delta in terms of fuel and laps. Entire wear comparison to Joshua Chin. Joshua might have put himself into a situation of, put half a stint, but with 40 to go, and then it would be very clear of perspective. You can give him that range. I think Hoffman Grosser in a situation that he needs maybe a 3/4 of a stint to a full stint.
Yeah.
To try to minimize the tire delta to Joshua Chin at the end of the race for him to be competitive. So it's going to be a really good end of the race if we can still go green, as we have smoke coming into the service area.
We did have smoke. Oh, it's Chin! It was Chin having a problem. Chin with no front wing. What has happened? dives down on towards the pit lane, but another big competitor in this season, and it's turn 2 again. Turn 2 has been the massive trouble spot here today. It has taken no prisoners, and it doesn't care whether you're challenging for the championship win or not. Joshua Chin in the wall. That's huge.
That's huge, and I don't know what to say. I really don't know. I'm in shock, but I don't. Here's the thing. I'm not gonna put the blame of me killing Joshua Chin. So this is not on me. That's on you, Josh.
There was some suggestion that turn 2 might be harder even on fresh tires, and we've seen that so many times with the bumps coming through there as well. Can very much upset the car, and Joshua Chin, well, he's not alone in this. He's not alone in this whatsoever. You've had so many drivers do the exact same thing over the course of today. It just so happens now it's occurred to the driver that was looking so dominant in this race.
Yeah, and I'm trying to look for the standings. I think the standings, if I recall correctly, isn't Grosser third place or Egan in third place?
It's Egan third place. So Grosser isn't even on the isn't even inside the top 10.
Okay.
At least on my standings graphic. So this could be a very, very good points day indeed for Robert Grosser. If he's able to convert on this strategy, which he's gone for, that no one else is really attempting at the moment, at least as in a good position with that early stop.
Yeah.
I mean,
he might be able to get the jump.
Yeah, his life's been made a lot easier by Chin going out. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
So Robert Grosser leads this race now. Then, go on, Lorenzo. You cut out again.
I was gonna. No, it's all right. The marvelous world of sim racing. I was gonna say, Agan might just be within very close point spending position if he gets a jump on Simmons and finishes before it.
You might.
5-point advantage to Simmons. Apology. If he finishes 4th. If he finishes 4th.
Coming up to 70 laps to go then. Jan Hoffman, well, he's been the driver that's now been chasing Robert Grosser on fresher tyres. However, they are two teammates. So how do they negotiate this situation then? They've got a little bit of lap traffic ahead of them that they have to deal with, so it's always a little bit of a concern at this point. But look at this though, it is Robert Grosser leading for Vortex. Then we've got second place, Jan Hoffman, Vortex. We've got Lucas Leville, third place for Vortex. And it's only until we get to Logan Simmons is when we see another team. So 1 through 3 for Vortex Sim Racing at the moment. They're stuck up behind the AOR car at the moment, but hopefully they're able to get through and make short work.
Lucas in 6th though.
Yeah, and well, lap down once again for Julian Altena. Leaders through down on the insides. The how do Vortex, potentially if it's these 3 drivers at the end of the race that are all fighting it for the race win, how do you negotiate that as a team? Do you just let them race?
I would. You know, of course, grab yourself a cross, you know, a holy cross, and pray they do not kill themselves. Or a Mercedes with Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton, but other than that, let them race, you know. Who comes out on top gets best results. But I think for point standings, individual point standings, I think the one who needs those points might be Hoffman and Laville, if I recall correctly. They're fighting for the top 10.
So the end of this race potentially looks more and more interesting by the minute, especially given that Vortex situation at the very front. Ethan Hagen, 4th place. The next Well, the first drive. Oh, Egan. That's off of turn 4, so that is that's not the spot that we've usually been seeing that, but a loose moment for Ethan Hagen.
Is there a curse in this, right? That if you're in the top 3 of the standings, you are not able to get a really good result?
Potentially, might be the curse of Iowa. Ethan Hagen, let's see.
Oh, just too much on the wheel on the rejoin of turn number 4.
Have to be careful about bumps as well. But 63 to go at this stage. Top 3: Grosser, Hoffman, Leville. Hoffman has held station for now. He's not used his tyre advantage, or hasn't obviously attempted to use his tyre advantage to get past Grosser at this stage. So I think Vortex are taking this one in a very, very conservative fashion at the moment. I don't think if you saw any other team in second place with 20 lap delta on the tyres to be just sitting there taking it.
Yeah, but I think the one thing we have to look for is track conditions, because right now this track has to be about 51 to 52 degrees, so it didn't improve too much, and we are basically at the peak temperature, but it's still scorching hot for these tires. So if I'm neither one of those 3, try to stretch it out as much as you can and be safe. If I'm Logan Simmons or Egan, I probably would stop at 40 to go and try to go for a different strategy and hope it works out your way.
Eventually, there's a battle behind them though. Julian Altena versus Randy Shoemake. They are the first drivers that are 1 lap down. Shoemake maintaining that 6th place for now, down on the inside line. Altena just trying to carry the speed around the outside. Unsuccessful on that occasion. It's a single file they are into 3.
And Shoemake looked a little bit feisty on the overtake coming out of turn number 4. Kind of pinched in Altena nearly to the wall. Try to make that overtake, and then Altena just couldn't carry the speed into turn number 2. And Leville having a little bit of a moment as Hoffman goes into second place and keep that second place steady. But all 3 drivers falling one close to one another, and I wonder if they try to give a lot of a stretch going to maybe 30 to go and pit stop. I mean, that's probably what would do it from the top 3.
I mean, they're able to get to the end from this point forwards anyway. It's just a matter of when is optimal to do that. Grosser will have to make the call earlier though, given again he's sort of 19 laps difference on the stints at the moment, as he made the call early last time in those green flag stops. Come down in, get that massive undercut on Joshua Chin, and to make the end of this race a little more interesting. However, a big incident for Joshua Chin off of turn 2. We've seen so many times in this race at Iowa. Coming off of turn 2, the back end not wanting to comply and sending drivers into the inside wall, and not causing cautions most of the time either, given they're off the racing surface. You think turn 2 is going to strike again before the end of this race?
You just try to lure me into a trap.
I know your power, Lorenzo. I know your power. Still no move to the inside or outside for Jan Hoffman. But there, oh, Grosser slow off of the turn, and well, he's going to come down on towards the pit lane. In fact. So Grosser coming down in at 52 to go. He can get to the end from here. A puff of smoke as he makes sure he gets towards the pit lane speed limit. But Grosser in again, and well, he just needs to keep it relatively clean to the end now, and potentially he might end up being your winner. It will have to be the gap caught up by Hoffman and Leville at the end of this race that will threaten that if we do not go caution.
Yeah, but I think Altena is probably going to make a decision. If I'm Altena, come to the pit lane right now, and try to be as and as best in the front as you can be, because the likelihood of you losing the lap is going to be basically huge right now. But other than that, it's the likelihood of us seeing a yellow flag, and you were trying to lure me into a trap in turn to instant. I would say very low, even though Joshua Chin disagrees with me in the IndyCar community Discord.
Well, we have 48 to go, so and time not a concern for the moment, because of course we have had a good couple of cautions today, but we needed a few more before we get concerned about the time. So we should be good to the end, unless we get a string of them now, which I'm not going to curse again. we're really sort of towing the line here at the moment, here, aren't we, Lorenzo, with saying such things?
Yeah, we're walking the very fine line of sim racing of good and bad.
Indeed we are. Hoffman leads from Laville, the two Vortex Racing teammates. We had, of course, Robert Grosser come down in. He's the first driver able to get to the end on fuel. He has a big undercut on the rest of these guys, continuing to pull out that theoretical gap. So nothing's ever a guarantee. You know, Grosser I still feel is the favourite to get this one done. However, things can change so quickly.
Yeah, I think now the biggest danger is this mix of ours as we see Shoemaker and Altena battling for the P5 position. Altena try to go for a cut back line into the high line, and now following as closely as he can, Randy Shoemaker. But Altena, smart move, you're going to the outside, you get a little bit of more when you know that Shoemaker is coming into the pit lane. Yeah.
So Shoemaker coming down in, 48 laps on his stint, so roughly splitting it 50-50 to the end with 43 to go. Gets it slowed down absolutely fine. Hoffman's in as well. So Hoffman is in. Laville stayed out there. Now it's all about getting yourself clean into those pit stalls now. Jan Hoffman in. And we can get ourselves our pit stop times as well. 41 laps of fuel requires. Don't need to put any more in. There we go. 7.1 off and away for Jan Hoffman. Clean stop.
Yep. Is he going to get in front of Laville, though? Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
Into a little tad of traffic, though. It's important to time these pit stops so that you at least get a relatively big piece of clear air, at least enough for you to maximize the first couple of laps of those fresh tires. But he does slot in behind here. So going to be a little bit of an issue, but you can see how much more mid-corner speed that he can carry coming out of turn 4 there. Very impressive, the performance on the fresh boots. But now ball is in Laville's court. What does he decide to do? Because both of his teammates have gone for slightly different strategies. Does he go slightly different again? Or to come down in to cover off?
If it is me, I would try to bank on the yellow flag, because then you can get a one lap on everybody.
Yeah.
Got a really good margin on everybody. And trust me, one of my teammates actually done that in a Dover race in an IndyCar league, and it's possible, but I think like this right now, it's a little bit tricky for you to make anything, as we see Julian Altena in the pit lane.
Yeah, so Altena in the pits. We'll get the tower swapped over to interval as well, because it's quite useless at saying +1 lap for mostly everyone. So Altena in and off for the pit lane. It's 15.8 seconds in the box, stationary. That is excessive.
Yeah, I wonder if he got any pit lane infringements of coming in too fast or something like that, because if you look, he kind of misfired a little bit on his way out. He had a little bit of a wheel spin, but the car just did not go.
Let's have a listen to it. Car up on the jacks, down. Ooh. That one's a bit weird.
Yeah, I told you. I think this is the first time of a case of seeing the car misfire or being in the wrong gear. I don't know. I never. It's kind of like in virtual racing. I think is the first time I've seen that.
Interesting one. More visitors on towards pit lane though. Ethan Agan decided to come down in for his final pit stop of the day for the Iconic Motorsports number 20. Up on the jacks he will go. Get that fresh rubber and that fuel to the end of the race. Ethan Agan exiting pit lane now. Lucas Laville still has not decided to come down and in, so he's pushing out this stint as much as possible. He's trying to maintain the track position for now. He has 1 lap on everyone else. That's a nice position to be in, isn't it?
No, everybody likes to lap the entire field. You know, because you don't know what can you do, right, for you to be an advantage. As we're gonna see Laville coming into the pit lane right now. I just saw joining the service area.
So here we go. Laville comes in with 30 laps to go. Gets down to pit lane speed limit. And coming down the pit lane he comes. So there we go. Lucas Laville, final pit stop of the day for the Vortex machine. The number 1. Well, let's see if he's number 1 at the end of this one. We'll give it a good fight indeed. Into his pit box. Absolutely clean. You don't want to overshoot, undershoot, or even get too much to one side. You want to get yourself perfectly in the middle of your box. 7.9 seconds for Lucas Laville as he heads his way out.
Both Grosser and Hoffman passed through, and the gap is going to be quite considerable for him to catch up. He can catch up, of course, but I expected Hoffman to jump Grosser on the pit lane, to be very honest with you.
Yeah, that's, you know, potentially, although Grosser did have that good string of laps with the undercut that's put him in this position. But yeah, it's going to be relatively tough for Grosser. He has one big advantage though, and that is track position for the moment. So if we get ourselves another 10 laps, potentially get ourselves a late race yellow, and Grosser, you know, in this position, once Logan Simmons has come down on towards the pit lane for the final time, he'll be in a good spot. But then again, this is Iowa. This can turn into pack racing very easily. Yes, we're at quite high track temperatures where it's made it a little bit more of a struggle than it usually would. I would say I still have my money on Grosser on this one, but it's still going to be difficult for these final 25 laps.
Yeah, it can go either way, in my opinion. So my money is with you, Connery. I think Grosser still has a little bit of an edge on Hoffman and Laville coming to the final laps. So one thing we know is going to be very exciting end of the race.
Yeah, I think so too. Simmons is sticking out there as long as possible. Oh, and we might get it as well. We might get that caution car spun to the inside. Is it enough though? No, it isn't. We stay green with 23 to go. Christian Jasper down towards the inside, slow on the inside now, not going to trigger a yellow. That could have so easily been it there, Lorenzo. And then we have to throw out the strategy once again, as here comes the side-by-side for the effective race lead for the moment, as we wait for Simmons to hit the pit lane. Jan Hoffman to the inside. He's got a Chimera car on his inside, trying to follow through as well.
Yeah, that's Jamie Wilson on the inside, and Jamie looking very racy, and that's the one thing that Grosser doesn't want. You know, a very racy car with very good tires in it in this race, so battling for what would be trying to get your lap back. So Grosser in a world of pain right now.
Yeah, Grosser's lost that position now. Now the tables turn somewhat. Hoffman with the slight, with the 9-lap tire advantage. I mean, it's a small advantage, but here at Iowa, well, yeah, we'll have to see if Hoffman's able to put up the good defense here. I doubt he'll be able to pull away too much. And also, we got that Chimera car ahead as well, as giving a little bit of dirty air to these two Vortex machines as well. 19 laps to go
And Laville is coming.
Laville is coming. Yeah, don't count out Laville. He's 1.1 seconds behind at the moment and catching. So, yeah, 3-car fight for the race lead. All 3 cars part of the same team, though. I would want to be a fly on the wall in their Discord or TeamSpeak.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I really don't want to be either one of those 3 drivers going. Should we battle? Should we not battle? What do you want to do? You want to give? Let's get fans some hashtag content, or well, let's just try to get this to the end and then we give them the content.
Yeah. Well, content's all we need here for the final run to the checkered flag. We've had a decent green flag run here in the second half of this event. And we're just ticking it down the laps now. Every single 19 seconds or so, we get that counter down 1 towards the end of the race. Hoffman starting to stretch his legs, though. I don't think Grosser can hang on at this stage, and look at Laville, he is closing in. He needs to get Grosser disposed of as quickly as possible to give himself enough time to challenge Hoffman, and here he goes, down towards the inside at turn 3. Grosser on the high side trying to hold on, but I don't think there's the performance in that machine to be able to do so. They'll continue the fight in towards 1, and well, Grosser, he's not giving this one up without a fight, is he? He gets the run off of turn 2, but Laville is ahead at this stage. No more overlap for Grosser, and now Laville has to chase Jan Hoffman. Simmons still leads this race. He's hoping for a yellow, but he will have to come down in.
Yeah, he's gonna have to come down eventually, Logan Simmons. Although my question is here, Connery, in this circumstances, what do you do, right? As Logan Simmons is bidding at, so we're now gonna have our battle for the lead, eventually with Laville and Hoffman. What if Jamie Wilson wasn't over there? Do you think that Grosser would have been able to hold that lead? Because I think Jamie, even if he didn't want it to.
Oh, down to the inside there for Lucas Laville, going for the race lead. With 11 to go, in towards turn number 1. He's got past his teammate Jan Hoffman. He slides up in front of Jan Hoffman. Is there any response from the 0-5, though? I somehow doubt it at this stage. Laville has perfected the strategy here. He has the fresher tires for the last 10 laps. He can try and pull away. There is a little bit of lap traffic ahead that they do have to be a little concerned about. Hopefully it gets itself out of the way in a rather sprightly fashion. We've got 10 to go, coming up to 9 to go, and I don't think anyone's going to stop Lucas Laville if we stay green.
No, Lucas is just on a very frantic pace and doing really good. Only Hoffman, I think, is able to try to put up a fight, try to muster up some energy and something within those tires to try to catch his teammate and go for the win over here in Iowa. But other than that, Laville played the strategy to the perfection, didn't he?
Yeah, he absolutely did. Just going that a little bit longer in that final stint. He could have come down in just to cover off Hoffman and cover off Grosser, but he didn't. He committed to the strategy, went as long as possible. We had Sebastian Kinder down on towards the pit lane. Drops further down the order. But 7 to go now. Lucas Laville, what a fantastic event that he's had. Hoffman gave it a good shot as well. It's not over yet, though. 7 laps to go, 6 laps to go even. Anything can happen, but for the driver of the number 1 car, Lucas Laville, this is cruising to the finish at the moment. Well, the performance for Vortex in general as well.
Yeah, everything just gone the right way for them. When we expected to see, first we expected to see a little bit of a domination from Joshua Chin again. He was doing really good up until the pit stop. Other than that, all the 2 leaders of this championship out of this race. You got Ethan Nagin in 4th place doing really good, and he's gonna get so many good and important points for him to get closer in the championship. So a race that could dictate how this championship moves forward going into the entry of the second half of the season. We're not at the end of the first half, but we're going to the second half really sharp.
Indeed, we are. This is round number 5 of the Classic Indycar Series, powered by the Buttkicker. The MKT Manufacturing Indy 250 is about to draw itself to a close. 2 to go here at Iowa. They'll get the white flag next time around. LeVille has pulled a 2-second gap, or rather 1-second gap on Jan Hoffman. There is the white flag here at the end of 250 laps. Once more time around for Lucas LeVille. A perfect strategy call at the very end has netted him this race win. Out of turn number 4, round number 5 of the Classic IndyCar Series, powered by Buttkicker, is won by Lucas LeVille and Vortex Sim Racing. And it's a Vortex Sim Racing P1, P2, P3. Domination from the boys in red, black, and silver.
And like promised, here comes the hashtag content for them. So the social media is happy, more than worse for everybody. And LeVille, perfect strategy and for him. Obviously gonna bump a few spots in the championship, maybe get within the top 5 or solid 5 himself within the top 5. But other than that, not having Chin and Bennett into the fray changes a whole lot of stuff in this championship, and can't wait to see what Nashville brings in a few weeks.
Lucas LeVille will complete his celebrations on that pit straight. Certainly a fantastic race win indeed, and he has, of course, his teammates finishing P2 and 3 as well. You could not have had a more ideal day if you're Vortex Sim Racing, and well, the point situation changes quite a bit as well coming into this one, especially given the fact that we had Joshua Chin out of the event, Henry Bennett out of the event. Ethan Hagen, well, he's getting points over the both of them. He finished 4th place here today. Hoffman is also going to have a fantastic time in the points once we get all of that calculated. But with that, we will have to get ourselves the the race results here at the end of 250 laps of racing at Iowa. And well, it is Lucas LeVille taking the very top spot. By 1.2 seconds was his classification at the very end of this one. Jan Hoffman 2nd place, Robert Grosser 3rd, with Ethan Hagen 4th. Randy Shoemaker will finish in 5th, with Logan Simmons in 6th. Julian Alterna finishes 7th, with Jamie Wilson in P8, Jans Josef Sturm in P9, and Sebastian Kinder will round out the top 10 at the end of this event. Crispian Jasper, P11, with Jack Turner in P12. Joshua Chin out 81 laps before the end. Mike Grandi also out in 14th place. Jonathan Diggs, Matt Wagner. We got Jan Dirks, Henry Bennett, JC Hay, Jack Stiles, all out of the event. And the P20. 21, we've got Robert Buttkicker. We got Cameron Dance, Andrew Saunders, Marshall Stanley, all deciding to retire from this race earlier on in the event. It was a very problematic rate of attrition today here at Iowa, but we kind of expected it heading into this one, Lorenzo. It isn't a track for the faint of heart.
No, not one bit. And Iowa kind of provides those races not only in the Classic IndyCar Series or even the W12s, but also the IR18. So whether it's Classic or Modern, it is attrition all race long. And then again, I said this is the start of the triple header. Very tricky ovals that we got next. Full and Worldwide Tech Raceway following next. So you have to be on board with your short oval racing, otherwise you're not going to be able to make those points needed for you to launch yourself in the championship.
Yeah, here's the the schedule for the season. Round number 5 at Iowa. Well, it's completely and utterly over with. We got interviews coming up. You want to stick around for that? Nashville coming up next on the 10th of July. Then we head to the Worldwide Technology Raceway before we get ourselves back onto the road courses at Belle Isle. Then we head back to the Oval for Auto Club, Indy Road, Phillip Island, and of course, the one, the only Indianapolis as our finale for the season, round number 12 at November the 13th. So, as after a particularly enthralling affair here at Iowa, we can get ourselves a little bit of a conversation with a couple of the drivers that had themselves, decent finishes in this race. We can first speak to Jan Hoffman, who finished in second place in the middle of that Vortex sim racing trio that finished at the very top of the order. Jan, what a performance from yourself, what a performance for your teammates. However, we know you're racing drivers. Does the not getting the race win gut you somewhat?
Yeah, of course. I also want to win. I mean, I'm happy for the team, but I'm also, fighting for the win. And at the end, there was like, yeah, let's go for it. It's open track, no team orders there. But trying to pass Robert there just cost me too much tire, so I couldn't hold off Lucas there. He was just too quick.
Yeah, it did seem to be the case. We had very, very hot conditions here today at Iowa. We got to around about 51 degrees Celsius on the circuit, over 120 Fahrenheit. So that was a big factor in the race today. How did you deal with it, though, considering how scorching that track was?
Well, we put all the downforce we had on the car and just hope for the car to hold on and keep it together as good as possible. And I think that played off in the long run, having so much downforce compared to, I think, everybody else. They had more problems with the tires, but yeah, it was not only racing against the competitors, but also against the track with these temps. Really managing the car, the tires, not pushing too much in the early stage. So that was playing a big factor today.
Yeah, and it's really seemed to work out in your favor, not just for yourself, but your Vortex Sim Racing teammates as well. Given the current situation, we had a good couple of our championship contenders actually fall by the wayside in this event. We had Henry Bennett have issues. We had Joshua Chin have an unforced error as well. You were able to get through that relatively unscathed. You're 5th place coming into this one. You're gaining points off of Cameron Dance. You're gaining points off of Henry Bennett. You're getting points off of Joshua Chin. You've got to be happy about that.
Oh yeah, for sure, and that's why I'm also a little bit mad that I didn't get the extra 10 points for winning the race. But yeah, P2 is still a good result. Also, I'm happy for the rest of the team. We really needed that to boost a little bit the morale. It wasn't really an easy start to the season for all of us, but yeah, I'm really happy going home with 40 points more and probably, I don't know, being a bit further up in the points.
Yep, and we wish you the best of luck. We've got ourselves Nashville coming up. You feel confident?
Sadly, I will miss Nashville. I'm feeling little bit sad about that because I'm quite good at the ovals, I think. So I hope my teammates can bring a result like today home. And I guess I have to wait for, I think, Gateway is after that.
Yeah, so, we will see you then. Nashville not for Jan Hoffman, apparently. But we're certainly very thankful for your participation in this series. And best of luck in, your races that you do next.
Thank you, and thanks for the good commentating broadcast.
All right, thank you very much. I'm trying. That was Jan Hoffman in P2, but we do have the opportunity to speak to your race winner of Lucas Laville. Lucas, that was a late race charge on fresh tires to get yourself the race win here today at Iowa. Just take me through those last, 25 laps.
Yeah, I wasn't really expecting, to be perfectly honest, to have that much of an advantage on just like 10 or 12 lap difference on the strategy compared to Jan. 25 on Roberts, plus his damage was going to be too much for him. But overall, I think it's just like a very good team effort this week. everybody really liked the car. Marshall was really unlucky at the beginning with the incident. Otherwise, I think we could have swept the top four. But yeah, first win of the season, which really counters everything I have had happening so far this year and puts me back in the hunt, which is at the end of the day the target for me this year is to finish up there and keep the crown. So we'll keep on rolling.
Keep on rolling indeed, and roll you did over the course of this event, all over your competitors. That was definitely a great display of driving in the final portions of the race. Yes, it is up against your teammates, which is a little bit of a different situation. Of course, you tend to have a little bit more respect in amongst your team than you do some of the other teams and drivers out there. But still, when push comes to shove, you came out on top. What was the communication between the Vortex guys at the end of that one? Was it okay, just everyone racing themselves at this point because no one else is really close? How was that situation if you were communicating with each other?
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much at the beginning, the objective was to get everybody to the front, just because Robert being there proved to us that the car was capable of being up front. So it was just a matter of getting Jan and myself up front. So Jan just pretty much opened the way, looking for freedom up there. And then once the three of us were pulling away, it was just, okay, let's set our strategies within them ourselves. Keep building the gap, make sure if we pit before everybody else, we can still come up front and be safe from any caution or anything that could happen out of our control. And as you said, after the life cycle was done, it was green light for racing. And once the order was settled, we just kept it out of the wall and to the finish.
I think it was potentially less keeping it out of the wall and more avoiding the bumps and making sure you didn't spin off of turn 2. We saw a lot of drivers have major problems out of turn 2. How did you deal with it?
Yeah, it was very weird. Like the track time fluctuating, the winds, the PJ1 really throwing us out of our comfort zone, and the traffic being present all the time, pretty much, even though not many cars finished. Was just like using the weight jacker to our best interests, just keeping the car very tight, very planted through the run, and just save our stuff was the key word on the radio during the whole race. Just save your tires, save the fuel, save your stuff when we need it. And once we had everything clear, we could just use what we saved and really power through.
Well, thank you very much for coming and talking to us, Lucas. Fantastic race win today, and hopefully that's the sign of more things, more good fortune to come.
Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. Big shout out to you guys for the support through the years, to the guys at Vortex for the work this week during the race. For the car, it was mega. I don't know if we had anything for Josh, but we still locked up the podium, which is awesome. And big shout out as well to everybody at CIS for supporting us and staying with us through the years.
And thank you very much for competing, Lucas. That was Lucas LaVille, driver of the #1 Vortex Sim racing machine, the race winner here at Iowa. We do have a couple more interviews. Lorenzo, you be standing by with Robert Grosser. We'll bring Grosser up into the commentary booth. Take it away, Lorenzo.
Oh, Robert, first of all, congratulations on B3. But of course, if we have to look on the race itself, very good result for the team, and not only for you but for the team as well.
Yeah, thanks. That was really needed. I think the team as a whole had a not so great start to the season, and me personally had a devastating start to the season. So it was a well-needed recovery, and I'm pretty happy for the team, for everyone. It wasn't important in the end whether Lucas, Jan, or myself will win. We had different strategies. We were racing it out fair and square, and no team orders or anything like that. So yeah, very happy for the team and for myself as well.
Oh, nice! You kind of answered one of the questions that me and Connery were having in the conversations that we were having during the broadcast. But actually, talking about strategies, going for the undercut on Joshua Chin with the 19 lap delta, in terms of tires and fuel. Was that a premeditated call? Did you wanted to go for that undercut that you thought was the only way, or was something that you guys made on the fly?
We had discussed this whole undercut thing during yesterday's practice for the first time, and how the race developed today and all. I was really thinking for myself to have an edge over Josh. I really have to try that, because he was just about to slowly pull away a little bit, getting the upper hand, and I knew that the tires at that point were really falling apart, so I really had to try something. And then we were all discussing, we were all doing a little bit different in execution, but like Jan pitted a bit later and Lucas again a bit later, but yeah, it was really something to try to impress Josh. Not so much looking on my teammates at that point, really racing against Josh and seeing what we can really do, and it appeared to work out nicely. And unfortunately, then Josh race anyways ended otherwise. I don't even know what happened to him.
Yeah, he had an unfortunate incident, turn number 2, like I think everybody else in the race. But I think you guys got the message to him at the end of the day. Now, moving forward to Nashville, a track that is totally different than what you guys just raced today. It's much longer. Is basically twice as long. What is the key strategy for a track that is so much different in driving than in Iowa?
Yeah, the thing is, I have to be very honest with you. I've never turned a single lap at Nashville yet, so
Okay.
I don't know what to be expected. I mean, we choose to race during day lighting, just to see how it goes. We are not so keen on having a big pack race that usually just creates carnage. So for the first time on this track, we will race under daylight, and then we have to see how it develops. It should be interesting, and I hope that Vortex can again be strong. I mean, this time we don't have like everyone else in the field, we don't have any like old setup that we can take and have a starting point. We all have to start from the scratch. But I'm hoping we are doing well.
Well, let's hope you guys do well in Nashville in a couple weeks' time. But Robert, again, congratulations to P3 and enjoy your break with the boys from Vortex.
Thank you very much. See you in 2 weeks.
Well, that was Lorenzo Bonda there with Robert Grosser as our final podium sitter. And, well, we do have a couple more for the interviews. Why not? We'll just do quick fire interviews, why not, Lorenzo, with with Ethan Egan. So, Egan, we're going to move things on relatively quickly here. P4 for you here today, gaining a bunch of points over your championship rivals that had major problems earlier on in the event. You got to be happy with P4.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like when I saw Bennett and Chen have issues, I'm not really sure what happened, but it just came to my head. It's like, okay, time to get some points back to the championship. So, but yeah, I mean, I was mostly a 6th to 7th place car the whole race, and just got lucky to finish 4th and got some good points.
Yeah, it was a bit of a struggle with the attrition today, especially with the handling characteristics being a little bit different because of how hot the circuit was. It seemed to have caught a lot of people out. But for you at least, you know, this race at Iowa, you know, like you said, banked a couple of points. How are things looking heading into Nashville? Are you looking confident, or have you, like Grosser said, not turned a lap yet?
I mean, I have some good momentum on the ovals, but I've never done Nashville, so I'm a little skeptical about it. But I got a good team behind me, and I know we'll get a good setup for the weekend, and just hope for the best and finish ahead of my championship rivals and get some good points.
It seems like Nashville's going to be a bit of a wildcard event this season. Yeah. It seems like it's going to be toss a coin and whatever, just pick a random name out of the hat, and they'll be the race winner. So that's going to be an interesting one. But we do have to end it there. We do have to get through everyone else. Thank you, Ethan, for coming to talk to us, and congratulations on the P4.
Thank you. Glad to talk.
That was Ethan Egan there, P4. Lorenzo, we've got ourselves... have we not got Randy Shoemaker anymore?
We got Logan's... No, we didn't have him, unfortunately. We got Julian Altena, though, and Logan Simmons as well.
We'll bring Logan Simmons up. And Lorenzo, you standing by with Logan?
Well, Logan, very interesting race from you at general. You led at one point, but of course had to go for the pit stop, but still finished within the top six. So all in all, given the circumstances, it was a pretty good race, you would say.
Oh yeah, pretty good race. We fought understeer and snap oversteer the whole race. I mean, weight jacker was almost maxed out 3 or 4 times. So to come home in 6, it was fine. I was just staying out waiting for a caution to hopefully happen.
All right. Well, we could see that was the strategy in your final stint. But now moving to Nashville, what do you think is the greatest difficulty of the track? Have you driven any laps around it? And if so, what do you think? What you thought of it?
The biggest difficulty is going to be the fact that the grip level there is very low. It's even at night we're having to lift in these cars. So with it being a noon start time next 2 weeks from now, I expect it to be a very strung out race. It's going to come down to setup and how well you can maintain the right rear tire and make sure that it doesn't overheat. We have a decent setup for the 1.5 miles. As seen this year at Miami. Could possibly win the race. Looking to hopefully have another top 5 for the team. So that's kind of our expectations going into Nashville, but it is going to be a rough race.
Well, we'll see in a couple of weeks time. But Logan, enjoy your break. Congratulations on P6, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Y'all have a good one.
Back to you, Matt Connery.
Logan Simmons, P6 here today, and our final interview will be with Julian Altena. Julian, P7 today, and that's, I would call that a pretty decent result considering well, you had a few trials and tribulations over the course of today, and you started from the pit lane. So that's so just take me through that start of the race, because we saw you get involved pretty much early on with being a bit of a, I hope you don't mind me saying, a bit of a nuisance with the with the lead lap cars. Just take me through how the start of the race went for you.
Yeah, so actually from the last race at Laguna Seca, I got a penalty, which was starting from the pits. So as soon as I got out of the pits, I knew I was going to have to try to hold on to the lead lap, which, of course, as you saw, I really tried to do as best as I could, but I didn't manage to do that, unfortunately. But luckily later on in the race, after I spun once as well, by the way, because I got loose on the bump out of turn 2, but I did get back on the lead lap, and from then on I had a good race. To get back up into 7, got lucky with a lot of drivers crashing out, so that also helped me a lot. And yeah, really from there, I did have some good battles, so I enjoyed that. Also with the with the guys from Vortex when I was still a lap down, but that was a lot of fun. So yeah, not the way that I had wanted my race to start and really go, but I guess getting 7th from starting in the pits is pretty good, so I'll take it.
Yeah, it's pretty good going, and it just goes to show. Just finishing races sometimes means that you get yourself a good deal of points, because the rate of attrition was very, very high today. Only 12 cars took the checkered flag. You ended up in P7. So that's fantastic work, at least as far as I'm concerned. Our overlay is a little bit bugged at the moment, showing you P24 instead of P7, but that's just what we'll have to deal with for the moment. But for you, Julian, Nashville coming up next. It seems to be a theme with a lot of the drivers that said they haven't really put any practice in for Nashville at the moment. Are you, is it the same for you as well?
I did actually have a race here in this car, but it was quite a while ago, so I don't really know how much of that translates to this, because I don't know what the updates changed or not. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to work on the setup with the team, but we'll manage something for sure. So we'll have to wait and see what happens.
We'll have to wait and see indeed as we get to the halfway point of the season. Thank you very much for coming to speak to us, Julian. Congratulations on the P7.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Well, there we go then. That was all of our drivers that came for an interview here today, Lorenzo. And it was a pretty intriguing race here at Iowa. The MKT manufacturing Indy 250 delivered a decent race at the very end there. We didn't know which of the 3 Vortex cars would come out on top. We just knew a Vortex car would come out on top.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a not incognito, but a question mark race of sorts until the final laps. Of course, turn number 2 being the LVP of this race, last valued player, of course, took basically the entirety of the field out and kept this what would have been a very competitive race until the end. But I think the fact that you had those drops, you had Bennett and Chin dropped off, and you have a few other guys in the middle of the top 10 being dropped off as well. I think this is going to clog up the championship moving forward to Nashville. And Nashville, like I said, tricky track. Whoever's in front is going to get a massive advantage and make the best win.
Well, with that, we do have to bring things to a close here on the Classic IndyCar Series round number 5. Here at Iowa, the MKT Manufacturing Indy 250 is in the books, and it was a Vortex Sim Racing P1 through 3. Lucas Laville is your race winner here for round number 5 of the championship, but you do want to keep yourself tuned in to IndyCar, Classic IndyCar Series racing, because next time out on July the 10th, we head to Nashville Speedway for our race in the middle of the season. You don't want to miss it, but from myself, Connery Maddock, from my co-commentator Lorenzo Bonda, we will have to say good night.